Daniel Cormier is an extremely unique and talented fighter who at the time of this video is about to fight and try and regain the heavyweight title against Stipe Miocic in a hugely anticipated trilogy fight. Cormier is a true anomaly in the sport, being one of the few double champs, the first fighter to defend titles in 2 weight classes, and is the shortest fighter to win either the light heavyweight or the heavyweight title. Not to mention, he rocks the greatest dad bod to ever grace the octagon. In this video, we want to look at the stats and science behind Daniel Cormier to see how he stacks up against the competition, and how he built his MMA game around his unique physical attributes. First thing we want to talk about is an obvious standout every time DC steps in the cage. He's short, at least with respect to his opponents. The UFC website lists DC's height as 5'11", which is 3 inches shorter than the 6'2" light heavyweight average and 4 inches shorter than the 6'3" heavyweight average. So how does DC work around this? One of his biggest tools in the octagon is his wrestling, which isn't surprising given he's a 2-time Olympic wrestler. One of his most common go-to moves is a single leg takedown, and a variation called the high crotch, which is where he flips his opponent around and slams them. The single leg and its variations are common techniques used by shorter fighters against taller opponents. DC, being short and wide, has a low center of gravity, allowing him to get himself under his opponent with his hips and use their high, off-balance center of gravity to pick them up over his shoulder. Following that momentum, he often rotates them around and slams them on his back to avoid getting tangled up in the opponent's guard, and of course, for style points. It helps that under the dad bod exterior, DC holds an immense amount of physical strength, allowing him to ragdoll his opponents. DC has a takedown average of 1.95 and a respectable takedown accuracy of 44%. The second thing we wanted to touch on was DC's reach disadvantage and how he overcomes that problem. DC has a 72-inch reach, which is significantly lower than the 76 and 77.5-inch average reaches of the light heavyweight and heavyweight division respectively. On paper, this would put him at a significant disadvantage, but that's not the case in the octagon. To negate the reach disparity, DC employs a few strategies. One such strategy that DC implements is using the clinch. He especially likes to hook the head with one arm and underhooks with the other to break down the opponent's posture and land strikes, especially uppercuts or a short right hook, which is what he used to knock out Stipe Miocic in their first fight. The clinch is also used by DC to set up lateral throws or inside leg trips. DC uses these takedowns often, working from the underhooks. DC also employs very effective hand fighting to time his opponent's strikes and land his own upon using close dirty boxing. Tying up his opponent's hands also lets him sneak short hooks over the top, time closing the distance into the clinch. DC has the 4th highest strikes landed per minute at 5.88 and the 3rd highest strike differential at 2.73 in the heavyweight division, and has 10 knockouts out of 22 wins, so DC is far from just a wrestler. Moving on from striking and wrestling, DC also employs top-level jiu-jitsu skills and has 5 submissions to his name, all being rear naked chokes. He even went from white belt straight to brown belt in 2013. DC likes to employ the takedown to rear naked choke strategy against known power punchers, and for good reason. Everyone has a puncher's chance, and it wasn't worth the risk to stand and trade shots. He used this strategy against Derek Lewis, Dan Henderson, and twice against Anthony Johnson. DC has a submission attempt average of 0.5 attempts per 15 minutes. A few other stats to consider include striking accuracy and striking defense, which are 52 and 56% respectively, which are on par with the divisional averages. He has a takedown defense average of 77% and was never taken down in his career until his fight with Jon Jones. Daniel Cormier is truly a one-of-a-kind fighter, and we may never see someone quite like him in the octagon again. Aside from being an outstanding fighter and a historic double champ, he has been a role model for many, a true representation of a martial artist, and an inspiration for dad bods everywhere. Thanks for watching our video. If you enjoyed, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.